Greetings and welcome, viewers. I am your host and storyteller, Sylvanol. Thank you for joining us while we delve into the world of darkness with Vampire the Masquerade. This stream is intended for a mature audience and does contain mature themes that may not be suitable for all viewers. This game revolves around a dark horror theme and contains content that may be an emotional trigger for some audience members. Please keep in mind that this is a work of fiction. The views and actions of the characters are not explicitly the views or actions of the actual players. At no time should any of the violence or horror portrayed in our game be attempted by anyone at any time for any reason. Please sit back, grab a drink and a snack, and join us on the shadowy path that is the world of darkness. And now, before we start, please meet and welcome our players for the evening.
Hi, I'm Ravinia, and I play Dr. Janet Weiss.
I am Mitwad, and I am playing Mr. Ezekiel White, Reforming Man.
Good evening. I'm Raven, and I play Annabelle the Nosferatu.
This evening, we find ourselves again at the retreat office of Dr. Janet Weiss, where she's been contacted by Miss Annabelle saying that they needed to speak, they needed to sit and meet, and that she was potentially going to allow Dr. Weiss to see Mr. White one last time. Dr. Weiss in her office, there's a brief knock at the door.
Dr. Weiss opens it.
And Annabelle, are you visible or just making noise?
Annabelle is going to drop her invisibility at this point.
Oh, good, Shelley.
Good evening, Dr. Weiss.
Please, come in.
Thank you for the warm welcome. And Annabelle will, of course, walk in.
There's a notable lack of plants.
It's been too long.
I apologize for my absence, Dr. Weiss. Things have not been going very well.
I can understand and I respect that sentiment.
How have you been doing these nights?
Well, not as optimal as usual. I had a bit of a run-in with the National Health Organization, who decided to make a mockery. I'm sorry, a mockery of my practice.
What do you mean? Who are these national health people?
I believe they introduced themselves as Dr. Morrison and Dr. Dowd. They came with a patient that is related to Dr. White.
Annabelle steps forward and puts a hand on Dr. Weiss's arm and starts pulling her out the door.
What? Where?
I don't know. There should be one of probably Mr. Delaney's vehicles that he's lent me, since I do not have access to my vehicle outside.
Sure.
So I'm going to drag her to that vehicle. Like, not drag her, but...
Do you resist her at all?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
Get inside, Dr. Weiss.
All right.
once Dr. Weiss is inside, Annabelle will get into the vehicle as well. Is there a driver in this vehicle?
No, you were allowed to take one on your own.
Okay, perfect. Tell Mr. White what you just told me, Dr. Weiss.
Ezekiel?
Doctor?
Haven't you missed sessions? I hadn't seen you, and
You can tell he looks rough, even for, his normal state. His clothes are ragged, thinning. Some mysterious stains are on a few of splotches here and there.
Ezekiel, you're not taking very good care of yourself.
Well, Miss... He kind of looks to Annabelle. My friend here, she has been taking care of me the best of her ability. And I was asked by a mutual contact of ours to desist on therapy.
But you've been making remarkable progress.
I understand. His power is immeasurable.
Mm,
If he asks me to desist, I listen.
I see. And I kind of look over to Shelley and then look back at Ezekiel. My office has been received some trouble as of late.
Who do we need to find and discreetly ask to stop?
These particular individuals came in and they brought a patient.
Okay.
A patient that we know as Jax. I think you might be familiar with that name, Ezekiel.
Jacqueline?
We know that name.
Jacqueline.
Yes, she prefers to be
Frail
called
young.
Jax.
Yes. Frail young thing, roughly 18, 19-ish.
It was
Beautiful
her
hair.
day, and you painted it red. Good job, asshole.
She made it out alive.
Yes, but
Please
You don't
tell me
remember throwing
you're
her in the wood chipper? The rest of her family went just quick as could be. Zip, done.
deep breaths, Ezekiel. Calm down. Remember.
He starts mimicking her tapping. Tell me about these men, agents, what have you, arbiters.
They came under the National Health Organization. She was suffering extreme night terrors and psychosis. I think there was a traumatic event that she buried deep into her brain.
And fortunately, I'm tied to that.
It's
If you
become more and
couldn't-
more apparent.
Yes, it was.
Told her she was on the menu. You groomed her from birth.
We didn't groom her for that reason.
That's exactly why we did it. That's exactly why the whole damn place was going. Food, cattle, moo.
You can see him start scratching at his forehead. Not bloodily yet, just scratching.
Now, don't pick at yourself.
Is she well taken care of?
Honestly, I don't know. Because what happened is they brought her to me for an intensive session. And after she drank the tea and I had gotten her into a progressive state, they pulled her.
Names, please.
The names were Dr. Morrison and Dr. Daoud.
Was his first name Mosin? Perhaps
Yes.
very Middle Eastern Aramaic sort of gentleman.
Very thick accent.
Worn a turban of sorts, if that is appropriately termed.
Mhm.
He will turn his attention away from Dr. Weiss for a moment. Do you remember that time we mentioned a certain person in a certain bar owned by Mr. Costa, and he was digging for information?
Me?
Yes.
You haven't told me about this.
Okay, I didn't know okay. Well, I'm familiar with one Agent Morrison. I'm sorry, Mohsen Daoud. He came into the two silos one evening, and Mr. Smith decided to chat him up. Something felt odd, so I gave him a false name. However, he was very interested in our activities, the five of us at the time. Wanted to know where we were, how we interacted, what we wanted to drink. I think you know who he belongs with.
Hunters of our kind, Mr. White.
Exactly.
Dr. Weiss, wits and insight, please.
Three.
So hunters, he says hunters of our kind, and a conversation with Roland comes back to mind where he's explaining a bit about the enemy as he refers to them. Humans who know about vampiric society, people who specifically go out and hunt them, track them down, and kill them. Your spidey sense kind of goes off. There seems to be an acute awareness that Zeke, now more than he ever has to you, feels dangerous. It's a sense you haven't really experienced yet, just because you haven't been around something to give that vibe off. You've noticed over the past few days that your instincts have gotten much more keen and on point. You've noticed more. Your sight, your hearing, smell, taste have all been amplified. And in some way, your intuitive mind has as well. And while you have the feeling, the tug and pull of the blood bond with Annabelle, Zeke strikes you as a predator, as a dangerous being, sitting a little too close to Annabelle.
Dr. Weiss has her hand on what we would call the little oh shit handle. I don't know what it's technically called, but
it's the ocean
there's
bar.
Yeah. And there she's gripped it and she's kind of pulled, and there's just this moment where she just kind of snaps, and I'm feeling like it rips off the
It
car.
would easily pull from its screws and mounts, and you could hear the rending a little of thin metal and plastics and stuff as the handle comes off in your hand.
You! They're making a fucking mockery of my practice. They're damaging my reputation, and it's all about fucking you. And she kind of throws it into the back seat. I can't believe that what they're doing to that girl. I used my fucking techniques, dragged her out when I couldn't actually take care of her.
Do you know where she is?
Ooh. The National Health Institute supposedly did, but now there's fucking hunters. The enemy has her. Do you not understand?
Miss Annabelle, I think it's time to do some hunting on those agents. Do you agree?
We were right. Saving those kids was a bad idea. Who the fuck thought of that?
Costa!
In due time, Mr. White.
I still have a few strings to sever, as it were.
Lucky you. As you can see, Dr. Weiss, Mr. White is a handful. He is a burden that I have been shackled with.
She's taking some deep breaths right now, trying to center herself.
Yeah, she's finally seeing Ephraim White for what or who he truly is. Like the veil has been pushed aside so that you can get a peek behind Dr. Oz's curtain. And you're not sure if you like what you see. There's that weird mix of emotions between the tug of the blood bond with Annabelle and wanting to protect your regnant, whilst here's a person that you cared for, treated for years, entrusted you with, well, what you thought were his secrets. Maybe they were all just lies. Maybe they're all some strange game that these two like to play. She couldn't possibly play like that. It's got to be him. It's the only, and this girl. He got this girl involved and groomed her to become what? Food?
She kind of looks at Ezekiel, and there's a glossiness. There's almost a quiver to the lip. Is everything you told me in our sessions true? Do you truthfully want to get better?
Tell her no, it was a great big joke. And you're the only one getting to laugh. Well, aside from me.
His reply is shaky. I I've always been sick.
Seek, roll wits and insight.
That's the truth. Getting better is
Zeke, did you roll wits and insight?
Oh, yes. That is a 3.
As you're trying to answer her questions and struggling with the words, there's a moment deep in the recesses of your mind's eye, a hint of near giddy laughter. It's ethereal, but you can almost make out it begins to get a little louder. And it's the laughing voice of Frederick von Doren, almost echoing in the cobweb. There's a spark of thought that your beast seeds into the root of your brain. That fucker told us to go get therapy and then put you in front of this bitch and paid for it. It's a fucking joke.
He's not a joke. He's well loved, respected. Get out. No. Mr. Van Dorn, get out. And he just starts clawing at the back of his head, needily. Getting better was his big joke. And I'm Pagliacci. I'm the clown. I've made a fool of everything. But getting better sounded so alluring, so perfect, that I truly believe in it.
Possible.
You were muted there for a second.
Oh.
Yep.
If you truly believe in it, Ezekiel, then it's possible. Your mind.
Yeah.
It's what she's getting paid to say. Ain't you figured that out yet? And Miss Watcher over here is part of it, and you know it.
No.
Why else were you forced to drink her fucking blood? What are you thinking?
You liked it. You liked her special brand of drinks.
Then get some more right now. What are you waiting for? Of course we fucking like it. It's Vitae. Now, what are you going to do about it? You're the butt of a joke, and these two are laughing at you. And old Freddy's footing the bill.
He will straighten up, smack the back of his head around the spinal column, and straighten up. Doctor, are you laughing with me or at me?
I'm always with you. You are my patient.
I have the decency then to forewarn you.
Patient or paycheck? Get the truth.
In a few days' time, and he glances over at Annabelle for him to get permission to say this. May I?
Speak, Mr. White. I can always remove your tongue after the fact.
As you say,
Vice looks over
Yep.
at Shelley, and it's kind of disturbing, but at the same time, there's a little bit of a smile.
in a few days' time, the population of some of us, the special ones that frequent the night, the monsters,
Oh, kindred? That's the term you
yes,
use, right?
yes, us kindred will be thinned in this area, this domain. And anyone associated with them. If you wish to leave and start your practice anew, it should be soon.
Now, Mr. White, that is not an offer you get to make.
That is only a warning.
True, true, true. I was going to warn the doctor here of what's to come. It's only right.
And this is the first time he's actually noticed, do you two know each other?
Quick on the ball, Mr. White.
You have the second bondee, don't you?
The doctor and I have an arrangement because of your actions, Mr. White. She paid the consequences of them.
In that case, doctor, if you wish to harm me, please do so. Though it wouldn't be the first time this week I've been lovingly berated by somebody.
You have a lot to atone for, Mr. White.
That I do.
But I'm not going to strike you. I don't think it would do much good.
No. Though
Sure, give
I
us a
will do.
reason to show her true monster sitting here in front of her. Maybe we'll throw her in a wood chipper too. What do you think? She's been laughing at you for years.
As much as the other me wants to see you burn, along with the others, I do not agree with that irrational thought.
At least you understand it's irrational, Mr. White.
It always has been. For the last 20 years, it told me to neglect my daughter. And I did. And now it has forsaken me for my other daughter.
I believe you have some decisions to make, Mr. White. What you do and what
Yes.
you are going to do about it. And please, this time, try not to fuck it up.
Yes, now my suspicions are full. She is your ghoul, and I think she should stay that way. Though it is not my choice, nor my opinion.
Yes, Mr. White. See, you do learn.
Dr. Vice's set of vocabulary kind of echoes in the back of your head from Rolando, your rational, educated brain still equating this now that you're hearing it spoken openly between two kindred. The term ghoul, slave, property.
There is a look down that she shares, and then she also looks over to Shelley. Sorry about the door handle.
It's okay, Dr. Weiss. This car is on loan, and the individual it belongs to won't mind. And if he does, then he can take that up with me.
Wait, you borrowed it from him?
I told you they were
Ooh.
in on it. It's all one big fucking joke.
The major.
Of course, Mr. White. I lost my personal vehicle due to your inability to control yourself.
Was that before or after the torture I suffered at his hands?
Before, Mr. White, when you let that bitch pull you away from what I needed you to do.
And which one are we asserting about?
You know who I'm talking about, Mr. White. That is neither here nor there. This vehicle is just a means of transportation.
So, where are we going then?
You are getting out of the vehicle now, Mr. White, and standing outside and keeping your mouth shut. Don't wander, don't meander. Stay there.
And you can see the almost near pain-like look on his face.
I have things to discuss with the good doctor, Mr. White.
May I at least give my goodbye?
She is not going anywhere. I need to speak to her without your ears present for a few minutes. That is all. But I shouldn't have to explain this to you. Now get out, Mr. White.
Be well, Dr. Weiss. I shall see you in a few moments. And I thank you for your time. He will get out and stand guard without listening in. Though he's very tempted to turn on heightened senses.
Do you?
Fuck it. Rolling for rouse.
You don't need to rouse for heightened
And
senses.
success. Oh, okay. Well, in that case, free, then yes.
And I am assuming
Regardless, rouse.
it's the sense of hearing that you are after.
That it is.
Okay.
We will go to exactly where she told us to stand and stand non-committal, listening in.
Okay. Zeke exits, closes the door, goes to the corner of the vehicle that Annabelle had indicated, standing there staring out into the woods around the cabin.
Dr. Weiss, where did you meet these doctors?
They called me, said they needed my help, and then they came to my practice.
Annabelle kind of turns and looks out the window at the building, turns back to Dr. Weiss. I assume you did not keep your eye on them the whole time, correct?
They needed to make sure my office was secure.
I'm sorry, Dr. Weiss, but you would be best served to forget about this place. If you have something inside that you need or you want to keep, then by all means, we will gather your things, but you cannot come back here.
I understand now that I've gotten some clarity on the situation.
This situation is anything but clear. Mr. White mentioned our kind, the thinning, as he said. There have been some poor choices made in this domain. Sorry, domain is what we call where we take up residence. Some of those decisions were made by Mr. White. Some of those decisions were made by some of Mr. White's associates. Before I met him, of course. Others were made by individuals that are above all of our pay grades, as the kids say. But because of those actions, things will be changing here, and I will be leaving. There has been possibilities made available to me, and so I will be taking those chances soon. Now, what you do, that is, I would love to say it is up to you, Dr. Weiss, but
We know it isn't.
yes, you can move your practice, can you not? Can you do what you do elsewhere?
I can.
Excellent, Dr. Weiss. Prepare yourself. I won't make you take a new name just yet, but I believe you will serve me well elsewhere.
Whatever you need, Shelley.
Annabelle will lean in a little bit closer and kind of whisper, "Now that you're in the inside, Dr. Weiss, you can call me Annabelle."
I thought Shelley didn't suit you.
Yes, it is just a name. But do prepare, make your necessary preparations. I will come to you again. If Mr. White comes to you again and I am not there, you will turn him away. If he does not want to turn away, then Annabelle kind of looks at where the hand rest was. You have my permission to hurt him. Though I do believe he wouldn't get close to you before I got him first.
I understand. I will make the necessary arrangements.
Excellent.
Mm,
Do you require anything of me at this time?
If it's in your power, make the bastards pay.
Dr. Weiss. I will speak to my associates and see what we can do. I do appreciate your desire for vengeance or even just accountability.
I think I'm justifying it as caring for Jax. But truthfully, they are the wrongdoers and they need to suffer.
Suffering is doable, I'm sure. Nobody is so far removed that either I or others can't get to them.
Good.
Did you have anything you needed here? And Annabelle will kind of gesture to the house. Or are you available to move on from this location?
Occurs to you
Only
that there's a couple of things that you want to get done for sure.
There's some things. The paper files mainly. I never keep anything that's super confidential on the computer.
Wise. Take the next day or so, accumulate your things, but do not do anything untoward in that building. In 2 nights' time, I will be back and I will burn it to the ground.
Understood. I, in a weird way, I'd kind of like to see that building burn.
You may watch, of course, but it will be destroyed.
All right. Is there
Do
anything?
you? Hmm?
Is there anything else you need, Annabelle?
Not at this time, Dr. Weiss. You have been most useful.
Rolando's
I
words of warning, always be useful.
do apologize as much as I can for all of this. Mr. White is right that you could be angry at him. You could show your ire to him. Honestly, if you said you wanted him to pay the price, then I would gladly do it. He has been nothing but a problem to me. So
I'll think on it. But
very wise.
if he truly seeks redemption, that's something that is praiseworthy.
Perhaps Annabelle will reach into the folds of her clothes and she's going to produce a wooden stake and she's going to kind of put our hand out to Dr. Weiss with it.
She's going to take it a little.
There's a weird, surreal I've seen this in movies, and I'm actually
Yeah.
holding a stake to impale someone with.
That is your best defense. If something were to happen, and if it's Mr. White, I'm sure you could fend him off. There are others of our kind that would prove more of a challenge, but Mr. White, on one hand, he could probably be subdued by you. Aim for the heart and make sure your attempt counts.
Understood.
I will leave you here now and be about my business for the rest of this night. If you need to contact me, though, Annabelle ruffles around in her clothes again and withdraws a different cell phone. The phone number for this phone, and she like hands the phone to Dr. Weiss, is on the back of it. Keep a mental note of that number. If you need me, you may reach me there.
Understood. And she hands it back.
Excellent, Dr. Weiss. I will now be on my way with Mr. White.
All right. And she goes to open the door.
Zeke, you've heard everything that was said in that vehicle as Dr. Weiss gets out.
He'll turn off light and senses the second he hears a click.
She does look at Ezekiel. Please be good. Hopefully this, and she kind of just gestures
with the stake
around her, is all worth it in the end.
His smile and countenance is sad.
She does kind of walk over. She's kind of walking towards the building, and she does shakily put an arm on his shoulder. Gentle sign of comfort. Squeezes before continuing on.
Dr. Weiss, No, Janet, was it?
It's Janet.
I hope we could grow to be friends again. Talk every so often. Not in a professional capacity, just as two people ignited by vengeance.
It might be possible, but you'll have to talk to Annabelle for that.
Yes, well, as the Major has told me, no more therapy, no more medication. I would like a friend to listen to my problems, if you understand.
And she does nod because everything kind of clicks into place. I understand. We'll see what happens. Good evening, Ezekiel.
Good evening, Janet. And I will promise you, as my word, the truth is sacred, I will get Jax back for you to help.
Thank you. It's the least I can do.
And it's the least I can do for all my travesties and discrepancies. Have a good evening. And he will enter the vehicle. giving her enough time to speak if spoken.
You can call them what they are. Violent acts. Sociopathic tendencies. It's okay. I think you might be learning to control those now.
Yes, with your continued friendship, Janet, we can keep the sociopathy away.
And yeah, she just walks.
And Zeke will enter the open car door and sit down, purposely letting Annabelle hear that last bit.
So yeah, Dr. Weiss walks back into her cabin, back into the office proper, leaving Zeke and Annabelle driving away or just sitting there.
As Annabelle turns on the car, she's going to say one thing. Mr. White, remember, you had a hand in all of this.
That I did.
Just keep that in mind the next time you decide to make a poor decision. Others suffer.
Yes, if I'm to be executed before the winter comes, please take care of her. I know compassion is not your complete forte, but I do see it in you.
You only view me as a monster, Mr. White. Have I not cared for you? Put up with you? Helped you? Aren't those acts of compassion? Or am I nothing but your master holding your leash?
One answer will get me killed, and the other ire. Is that true?
I don't know about that, Mr. White. Sometimes it's. You are absolutely infuriating, but you have purpose. You have helped me.
Could I do a what's an insight on that?
Sure. What are you hoping to achieve?
I want to see what her intentions are with those choosing of words.
Annabelle's being truthful with you. I'm just gonna tell you that.
That is 4 successes.
And what did you roll exactly?
What's an insight?
Wits and insight.
Yep.
And you're hoping to connect the dots in what way?
That she does have a purpose for me to serve.
Oh,
and that all these sugar-coated, blatantly gaslit words were truth.
well, her words are definitely intent and purposeful. Whether or not there's any gaslighting of any kind going on is not something that I can tell you. That's something that you have to decide for yourself. But she is definitely, her words are definitely purposeful.
I do not know if you wish to hold the gas lantern above my head and tell me sugar-coated fairy tales. I do not know if you wish to incite me to reform or incite me to other means. However, unless I wish to suffer years of DT and withdrawal from your blessed vitae, I wish to serve you better as a comrade.
Mr. White, if I were going to kill you, I wouldn't dump gasoline on you. You are so creative at times, but you miss the point. The easiest way is sometimes the best. But we've dallied here long enough. It is time that we be about our business.
Yes, what was it that the major tasked us with tonight? Besides, no more therapy, no more drugs.
We have other stops to make, Mr. White.
Vengeance making steps, from what I gather.
As the two of you banter back and forth, Annabelle puts it in drive and turns the car about, heading away and out of the woods and away from the cabin.
The one question you would ask her before they absolutely left would be, may I at least have her as a friend?
We will see, Mr. White. Time will tell, and we have plenty of that. Well, some of us do.
I know. My death shall come soon. But yes, on to the next stop, as it were.
Annabelle chuckling darkly at Ezekiel's words as they drive off. Dr. Weiss, dropping final words with Zeke, walks back into the cabin office, closing the door. First things, wits and awareness, please. You kind of come in, I don't know if it'd be a head down or just kind of a deep in thought kind of posturing, reaching, closing the door, throwing the locks behind you. And as you turn, going into the entry door, one thing you notice is that the air's different. You're not sure if it's cooler or warmer or drier or more moist, but something's different in the air. Prickles on the back of your neck, little hackles raising. You start to look around more intensely. You hear a pair of loud metallic plastic clicks, almost large clunking sounds as the lights go out. Things get very quiet.
I try to remember where I might have like an emergency kit with a flashlight or something.
You absolutely have a flashlight in the top of your desk. It's what you use to check pupils with.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you've got a pen light. You've still got a cell phone that no one's taken from you, so it has its own light.
Yep. I flip that up and I'm trying to think about what might have caused this. The generator hasn't acted up in weeks.
But strangely, it hasn't kicked on either. Only a couple things could keep that from happening. A problem with the circuitry, if it came disconnected from the main line at the house, if the breakers got thrown. There's only a couple of things.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to head further into the house. I want to make sure that I have my bag before I head out to check the breaker.
Okay. You get your bag. You start heading back towards the front door to go outside and check. And you're pretty sure you heard something back behind you in your office. In fact, you know you heard something. You're just not sure what.
I'm going to turn and look back.
I mean, wits and awareness again, please.
Still 2.
You notice that the simple egg timer on the edge of your desk is now on the carpet, on the floor. And as you look, the shadows underneath the desk from the dim light grows, you don't know, darker, longer. And you look around the room and you see all of the shadows in the room seem a bit darker than they should be, and a lot larger than they should be. There's no light casting shadows, but they're there. And surely that one didn't just move.
What?
No, that can't be happening.
Dr. Weiss is standing there nervously, and the immediate thought is to turn and leave.
Where are you going? There's a oily voice. It's menacing. It is definitely an intimidating sound.
To leave?
I don't think so, Dr. Weiss.
What?
Please have a seat. And you see the chair behind your desk is pulled backwards. And a shadow seems to retreat from the chair.
I take a deep breath and I walk shakily to my desk chair and sit.
It is promptly adjusted for you forward. You can see the shadows on either side of your arms kind of lay out onto the desk, almost as if someone had spilled a bottle of ink. There's a prickle at your right ear, and that voice, as if it was in your ear. You have proved useful.
Yes?
Yes. You have met some monsters.
Yes, I have. I've never seen anything like this before.
As you say that, a face manifests before you. A little too close for comfort. The smell of something dead assaults your nostrils. The first thing that catches your vision is an overly wide mouth on an oddly alien-like head that is filled with teeth like you have never seen other than horror movies. Spiny ridges on its head, Its eyes are black and onyx. A loose draped cloak of some kind covers most of it, at least within your field of vision. You have yet to meet the real monsters, Dr. Weiss. And it stands up and continues standing, almost 7'4". Its hands now the only thing visible outside of the shadows of its face. Immense hands, 6 digits on each, elongated. Too many knuckles on every finger, pointed to the point of almost like broken, jagged bone at the end. Nothing that you've experienced prepared you for this.
What are you?
I am Damien. You and I have things to do, Dr. Weiss. Now come with me.
She doesn't really see an option to be able to run, so
He takes a step and a half behind you, again pulling the chair out gently, what would seem almost impossibly gently. Reaches out a long, cold, dead-fingered hand pointing towards the front door.
start taking steps towards the front door.
As Dr. Weiss and Damien exit the building, the door is closed. A simple, what looks like a Molotov cocktail comes out from the folds of his robe. He lights it and throws it over his shoulder through one of the windows. Within moments, a big orange haze comes from behind the two of you as he begins pushing you in a direction into the woods. And that is where this scene will end, my friends. I want to thank my players so much for joining us for this vignette. It has been absolutely wonderful. You guys are the absolute best, and I love each and every one of you. I can't wait for our next installment of What the Fuck is Happening in Prince William County. Thank you guys. We love you. We'll see you soon.